right, here's your quiz.
Quiz? Quiz on what?
Romeo and Juliet.
But we didn't read it yet. You haven't taught us it yet.
Well, you know what boys are, right?
All right.
And girls, right? Okay then, well, they fall in love,
Okay.
and they die.
So like that's all that's gonna be like on the quiz?
Yep, pretty much.
What? Who's Mercutio?
Mercutio.
What ball? What's the Capulet? And Amante?
Montague. Well, do your best.
Give me more! Keep going!
Limit like fears are often just an illusion.
God be with you all!
As you could see by that very, very poor teaching method, and by the way, did you notice that the guy's lips didn't even move? Don't know how he did that. Anyway, what we have to realize from that little example is that we have to teach and then evaluate. There's no other way to do it. So you've heard this before. When a child doesn't know how to read, we teach. When a child doesn't know how to swim, we teach. When he doesn't know how to multiply, we teach. When he doesn't know how to drive, we teach. And when he doesn't know how to behave, we punish. Why isn't it teach? Just because the kid is this big or whatever, doesn't mean that he already knows how to behave. So we have to teach the skills and then evaluate. We can't just say to a group of kids, all right, go collaborate, and expect them to figure it out. No, we have to teach them very explicitly. I know a teacher once who had just reread the standards for English and realized there was an entire section on collaborative discussions. And so this teacher created a 3-day unit, 2 of those days, 2 full days on what it means to collaborate and what does it mean to discuss in a collegial manner. 2 full days. After that, that 3rd day of that 3-day unit was the actual collaborative discussion. From then on out, that teacher did not have to spend 3 days every time doing what is collaboration, but instead was able to just do the discussion part. The kids loved it, they appreciated it, they wanted more. Spend the time up front and it will yield massive dividends in the future. You spend 1 day teaching the kids what it means to be respectful, what it means to be responsible, what it means to show community, and so on. It will pay dividends down the line. And so in essence, the math becomes like this. Many teachers say, I have to spend 5 days on this content or else the kids won't get it. And I don't know where to fit in there. Where do I fit in executive skills? And what I'm saying is, instead of teaching 5 full days of content, spend 1 of those days on executive skills, and then these 4 will be much more effective than the 5 without executive skills. This 1 day, just having to review and remind, maybe refocus, you will gain more content time because you're providing for the context on which the kids are going to be operating.
This just in. The more time teachers spend teaching executive skills, the more time they'll have to teach content. The less time teachers teach executive skills will equal more time managing their students, which will mean less time in actually teaching the content, as demonstrated by this graphic here. And less content means more coverage, usually meaning faster, because they have to get through it, which means less learning. Why? Because they are spending more time managing their students. So, to recapitulate, teachers, teach executive skills so that you can spend more time on content. Back to you, me.
And a good example is this. When you're building with concrete, you need to create a wooden form into which the concrete is going to go and then be shaped. Think of executive skills as the wooden forms for shaping that child, for shaping that kid in your class. So spend the time making the good wooden forms. A carpenter building wood steps, concrete steps, knows that he can't just go in there and start pouring cement. He's got to create the form under which the concrete will dry, become hard, and cure. Likewise, the same goes for executive skills. If we don't build the form, we're not going to get the behaviors that we need, that the kids need to be successful in class, let alone out of class when they're in college or when they're in the workplace. So it is part of our job to create those forms. If you were to ask any carpenter and say, hey, would you build me a driveway, please, out of concrete? And that carpenter goes and says, you know what, today I'm not going to use forms. I'm just going to willy-nilly and just assume that the concrete knows where to go. It's not going to work. And how do you actually teach it? So at the beginning of every quarter, select which two of the executive skills you're going to be teaching. Explicitly teaching. And the first day of that quarter, teach it as a lesson, not a lecture. Please, dear God, don't kill our kids with lecture. So teach it as a real lesson, an actual hands-on with activities, fun, enjoyable, getting the content of the skills across. And then the rest of the quarter, you can do mini lessons, you can do reminding, you can do reviewing of them. You should have what the executive skill is posted. You should have what it means posted with the individual bullet points. You have all of the key terms. You have the phrases that should be used. Just like in that math lesson of the 5 content days now can become only 4 because you provided the framework. Wasn't that nice? The framework, the form for which the kids will begin to operate within your classroom. And that's how you do it.